You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy. Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, David Hall.
Hello.
And Greg Hectus.
Wow, we all showed up in bunches this week.
And
that's it. The Droll Domes of Summer. Well, welcome. So first we're going to tell you about Grid Finder. Your Grid Finder is your go-to source for finding your next sim racing league. Currently home to over 450 leagues across all gaming platforms and across 10 different racing sims, including over 80 iRacing leagues. Filter your search by racing sim, car class, race day, and region. Finding a league to fit your schedule has never been so easy. Visit www.grid-finder.com to find a league or to upload your own. Grid Finder is the home of online sim racing leagues. Well, on the show this week, we work along with iRacing with a few Nashville Superspeedway issues that may be included in the first patch of the Season 3 build. The 87 Legend cars are in the news this week with classic events and thoughts in the community on the new update.
And remember that you can follow along with us on your mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all of the great topics and products that we'll discuss visiting iRacersLounge.com and selecting show notes. We hope to see you there.
Alrighty, it's time to talk manufacturer differences in iRacing. Man, this is the second time we've talked about this in 2 months, guys, and that alone is a concern. But we did hear from Briar LaPrade on Twitter at Patriot Briar. He said, imagine informing iRacing that the gear ratio in the Silverado is off compared to other manufacturers in the Nashville Superspeedway fix set, and iRacing still doesn't fix it. Pretty much what this means is don't run the Silverado and see fixed unless you're donating iRating. And so to clarify what happened is they put out the Nashville Superspeedway track like a week ago. And of course, sets had to be put out with the track for all the cars. And for the trucks, the Chevy was on the right gear ratio, actually, but it was the Ford and Toyota had a better gear ratio, and it put the Chevy at a disadvantage. So, David, you and I were talking about, what is really the impact of this, and I think we narrowed it down to Monday night, basically.
Yeah, the guy saying that they're not fixing it is exaggerating. He should try watching how cautions go to see what they're not fixing. This they fixed pretty quick, right?
They did. They fixed it in the patch like the next day on Tuesday morning. We'll get into the release notes, but they did change the gear ratio on the Toyota and the Ford.
Well, and this only becomes a real big issue in the fix too, right? Like it's not a huge issue, I guess, unless it's a locked-in rear-end 8 ratio in general for that track. But only on the sets, if they're fixed sets, it becomes a problem. I guess it's just either there's something in quality control is getting missed right now. I think they got some stuff they got to iron out because some of these things are getting by that shouldn't be getting by their systems anymore.
I have no idea how their quality control works, but they probably need to add a person who goes in and does a cross-manufacturer check of some sort, a double check. I don't know what all steps go in there, so I'm just spitballing at that point.
Well, and this never is an issue. Like, we don't see this issue on the roadside because their cars are all different. It's the even cars different manufacturers on the cup oval sides, the trucks, the Xfinity, anything that's oval related. We got different body styles, but the car is supposed to be identical, right? And have the same type of sets. So usually on the roadside, you see the balance of power adjustment. Here, we're just having these little hiccups, and I agree with you, David. I think there definitely needs to either add in a new person or figure out what's getting missed in their system.
And if indeed it is kind of a random, unrelated occurrence that this happened to happen, 2 months in a row, why is it Chevy that at the disadvantage each time? I mean, the odds of that happening are, whatever they are, but you would think maybe Ford or Toyota might be at disadvantage in one of these slip-ups. But if I was an executive at Chevy, I might be calling Steve Myers and saying, what's going on?
If you roll a dice, though, a million times, occasionally you're going to have the same number happen in a row.
Well, and the thing is if you look at it, technically the Chevy wasn't supposed to be the one disadvantaged. It was Chevy got the update. It's Ford and Toyota that didn't. It just ended up being that Chevy was still at disadvantage of the circumstance. So, it ended up happening that way. Like David's saying, it rolled a dice and you get it to happen, and it's just twice now it's rolled on snake eyes, I guess, for these two.
Now, in that patch, we'll go over those release notes now. They fixed the thing with leagues where the announcements tab was causing an error. Did some AI drivers may now use the Formula V. And I want to point out how quick a brand new car has AI. So they must have really been working on this ahead of time as they were developing the car to be able to put it in AI so quick.
Well, we talked about this. This is a good thing for, starting off and trying to learn how to drive around those things, especially if it's a rookie class. AI is... I would have loved AI back when I first started. Instead of trying to wait every hour to get into a race, you could set up your own races and get comfortable around stuff that won't affect you. Because, Mike, when we first started racing there, you got to try and work your way out of rookie. By the end of season 13, you couldn't fast track like they can nowadays. So you had to be good.
Other items include visual effects, adjusted, some shadowing, pace car headlights look weird. And then you might have seen a new miscellaneous tab inside the sim. When you go into options, there's a new tab, and it basically has the base shaker LFE effects where you can adjust all kinds of different things like rumble and curb noise and different things like that. And you can move them up and down and kind of tweak them where you want them.
So that was just added in this patch? It wasn't part of last patch and they were adjusting something? It's just this patch?
I believe so, because it's in this release note.
Because wasn't Josh having problems with his base shaker the other night?
He was. Yes. I wonder, does this mean you can use the base shaker without running extra software now?
Yeah, that. When he first added LFE, that was the idea, without running the stuff that Brian runs, which works specifically with base shakers and stuff. And I turned on the LFE, and I have a huge subwoofer sitting behind me that's made for a living room, and I'm kind of Frankensteining some sound together, and it actually works pretty good. It gives me a nice rumble in the room.
Tony was trying to talk me. Y'all are good at spending my money, right? Tony was trying to talk me into buying a base shaker, but I don't know how much noise those would put out in an apartment situation.
I think what you need to do, David, is you need to. We like spending your money on trying to get that seat. That's what we've been pushing you for. Base shaker, no, that's too. We need to get you that seat.
I don't think I'm going to buy the seat because I like my current seat. If I can sit in it for 3 to 4 hours at a time and my tailbone not hurt, I'm not getting rid of that seat.
So they had a drafting oversteer been reduced at super speedways on the 87 car. A tweak probably for the Firecracker 400. And, setups have been updated on several cars, the Xfinity and some road cars. Red Bell Ring. They've made several adjustments there. I'm not going to read through them, but and Nashville. So some of the new tracks, just little tweaks.
Seems like with that Red Bull stuff, there's just these odd little tweaks that we're having some glitches, I guess, right off the bat with the different layouts of the courses.
Well, it's funny when you have your beta, your QA people test it, and you think you're good to go, and so you release it. And then just within a few days after the general public has their hands on it, you get a whole laundry list of, oh yeah, we need to adjust this.
Nothing's better than 100,000 over 10 or 15 people, right? Or depending on maybe 50 to 100,000 people jumping on right away and figuring it out.
I'll take this next topic. We have the Better Half Dash. This is kind of the pros version of Our Ladies Night Out, right? And McCall, I guess is how she says it, McCall Galding was the better half of Zane Smith, and she won the Better Half Dash that they ran on Thursday on FS1.
Yeah. She looks pretty good behind the seat, and I like the looks of that seat. It's an MPI seat.
The other thing is, she's a barefoot driver too, eh? And that is what she drives, but she looks like, at least the adjustability lets her, with her height, get into that cockpit.
And they've got a podium base and V3 wheels, or pedals.
What a nice setup.
Okay, so do we or do we not have a 24-hour of Le Mans?
Well, I'll take this one, Mike. So I guess Stephen Bailey has posted in the, I guess he tweeted it, but it's the actual VRS Global Endurance Series schedule for Season 3. And it looks like, week 2 there? It's showing the 24 hours of Le Mans, but it's showing it as a 24-hour event. But they call it, have they always called it Urs de Mons, I guess is what it's actually always been.
Yeah,
when they write it down. Yeah. So, but this is 6 weeks of all 24, there's like a bunch of 24-hour races in these.
Well, you see the column on the right, it says 1440 minutes. I did the math, that's 24 hours.
Yeah, so it's like a six week series that they're doing a 24-hour race.
Yep, pretty much. And
kind of cool.
Week 2, which is soon, that says July 6th.
So week 1 would be this weekend is the first one, it looks like. Yeah, the 22nd.
Imagine doing 24 hours at COTA.
And then an off week, and then the 24-hour of Le Mans.
And then a week later, you're doing COTA.
Yeah, I've already looked at the schedule over. This is replacing what's usually the 6-hour endurance series.
So they don't have the 6-hour anymore, David? It doesn't look like?
No, it's not there. And also they dropped the license requirement because it's usually a Class A series. Now it's Class C.
So they're trying to get participation. It's actually...
Well, it's a replacement. It's a replacement.
Yeah, but, so they have... Sorry, David. If you look at it, they have 6 good tracks. They got Hockenheim, which is a new track to the sim. Le Mans, COTA, Monza, Silverstone, and then finishing off in Daytona. Those are like the best international tracks I could think of to run those. At least it's not like Nürburgring or something on there.
We probably need to give another shot at that in that official one. See if we can get 4 drivers instead of 3, maybe.
The 3 of us plus we need a 4th driver.
It's possible.
We need a 4th driver, and David needs the bubble out of his
We'll talk more about that later.
So let me just say the question again. Do we have an official 24-hour Le Mans, yes or no?
No.
No, you have a series that's hiding behind it.
No, air quotes.
It looks like the series is trying to hide it.
Well, there's no announcement from iRacing. Usually we have a Greg West post in the forums. Oh, here's the rules. Here's the time.
It'd be on the front page with a nice graphic.
Nothing. Yeah, there's nothing. There's been nothing. But this is in the schedule, and I went and checked. This isn't like a Photoshop that somebody put on Twitter. I pulled the schedule. I went and looked. It's still sitting there.
What do you think the likelihood of having multiple splits in this series by the time they reach Daytona? Well, I guess it would be track specific, eh, David? It maybe have more people on it. Maybe.
Nobody's gonna do the Dakota one, right?
There's quite a few splits for the 6-hour event, so it's going to bring people out.
It's such a commitment, eh? 6 weeks.
Yeah, what's interesting is, if I read it correctly, they may have changed it, but they have one starting on Sunday morning. Those are going to go into Monday every time.
Interesting.
What is that? It's 1400 GMT, so that would be
That's
noon.
9 in the morning.
No.
Well, Central.
Yeah.
Oh, noon?
It'd be noon Eastern. So that's got to be for the European.
That's
That's odd.
crazy. Who's going to be able to do that split? It's going to be people who don't work or don't work on Mondays. So I'll be able to do it during the summer.
You can do the back half for us.
Okay, let's move on. Nashville Super Speedway wall's a bit wonky. James DG03 posted a video on Twitter letting iRacing know the wall's a bit wonky, and he shows a video here. Basically, where he gets close to the wall, he never touches it, but he's scraping along, and you can see him bounce off of it, and he literally is bouncing off of the air cushion. It looks like that's 6 to 8 inches wide, and he can't even get the car to get to the wall.
Nope, it's a new track. Probably some work to do.
Now, is there anything follow up to this, Mike, in the forums at all?
Yeah, so there was a forum post as well, and we did hear from a staff member, Michael Berg. He did say, "You are correct that there are no night lighting effects at Nashville currently. These effects will be included in a future patch. There is no difference between the visual and physical front stretch wall at Nashville." Now, he shows a different video, and if you look at it, he gets his car right up on it. So it seems to be a he said, she said. I mean, we have two different videos showing two different things.
Well, my question is what, the guy only has a bar for his latency there on the video. What is his actual latency to the sim? Maybe his car isn't tracking on the track right where he thinks it is.
Exactly, and it's got to be something like that. And there's other forum posters that indicate there's a problem with the wall. So it's not just one person who's saying it. And in fact, at the bottom of the thread, we have a Christian Challoner, who's staff member, post, "There was an error and it will be resolved in a patch next week as it has already been mentioned. For what it's worth, it's impossible for a tester to spot or know this." I don't know what he was referring to there, but
Just looks like they need to just change the parameter, right?
yeah, it says what you're currently driving on is essentially our defaults for surface parameters.
All right, I have a public service announcement. Do not eat these things, okay? Even though I think they may be child safe, but still. We have a Formula V painting fun. We have a Crayola set of Formula V paint cars, or painted cars, called the Cravies.
All 64 colors that you would find in a regular crayon box. That's pretty cool.
We have to do a race with this now.
I'm guessing this is an AI created. Like, you could create this for your AI and run them like that.
Yeah,
Well,
you can go on Trading Paints and click on this and get it, and then go do an AI race with 64 of them, and yep.
Why is this the most creative car? Like, it's the simplest car, but everyone's made the most creative stuff out of it.
Because of its shape. No, we need to have another charity event, and I'll run these and just run and have everybody pick a color.
Somebody needs to send this idea to Tony Stewart. Just with all these colors, you can run this car for his SRX series.
Well, we got another picture on Twitter from Scott Tyak, and he called his car Cornalicious, and it looks like a corn cob, literally.
And we have a pencil.
It's awesome that everyone's coming up with all this stuff for the fun with this car, because, you know, half the thing is to just drive around and see what, you know, I like seeing paints. Paints is what interests me when I'm racing with. I mean, when you see a corn on the cob on the track, I'm sure you'll laugh every time you drive around.
Now, if you go down 2 entries here, Greg, you'll see the 64 Crayola cars on track there, and they're at Talladega, and I counted 7 wide here. So we have up to 7 wide, maybe 8 or 9 deep, guys. They're all in formation. It's freaking cool.
That's pretty crazy. The video above it is pretty insane too. This guy dodges so many wrecks. It was posted by iRacing. I don't know who the driver was.
From 22nd to 4th during the week 13 shenanigans, and I know exactly how he did this. You don't lift. I mean, the way these cars are, they're so bogged down, is if everyone else lifts and you don't, you're going to go right by them, and that's exactly what he did on the start.
What's that British song where it goes like the? You could have a different theme to it here and have him going through the field here. It's like when the police officer chased after it, that theme song. I don't remember what it's called, but just a different noise would have been, or a different song in the background would have been funny for this.
I've had a lot of fun with this car over this last 7 days. I've ran several races. I'm usually wrecked out. I usually gain spots on the first lap, which is usually just terrible fun because, like I said, people are timid, and if you just stay in the gas, you go right by them, and it's fun.
Hey, look, it's my turn. I'll take this one here. iRacingTrophies.com has been updated for the new forums. I guess Craig, was it Lager, posted on the forums that the iRacersTrophies.com had been updated, so you can use it as your signature in your profile for the new forums. So that's good to know, because that's a really we like that site just to see what you've accomplished every year. I know every once in a while we all visit it and just see what things we've accumulated in this season or past seasons, right, guys?
See how many wins David's currently at, because it changes all the time.
Yeah, well, he keeps taking candy from a baby in the afternoon.
Actually, that Euro series is not easy in the afternoon because all the Euros are awake. It's in the evenings when they're all gone that you can just rack up the wins. Because I'm up to 108.
I'm at 76.
I think you're close to me now, David. But I haven't won much. I haven't won much in a while.
You got to race.
Wow,
it's
true.
This is really the only place I think where you can actually see your overall win total. Like if you go on iRacing and look at stats, you can see the 4 different road, oval, dirt, and so forth separately, and you have to add the 4 together to get the number. But I like this because it gives you the overall number. Okay, let's keep going on forum. We got forum fixes, #soon. Nicholas Bailey posted in the forums there may be some updates to the forums. He said, I think we have something for this on Monday. We need to test some other things out with nested categories regarding the emails coming for every comment rather than just since you last visited. Vanilla, and Vanilla is the company behind the forums, is targeting a release in Q4 of this year for 2 new pieces of functionality, including email digest and batch notifications. Neither of these are exactly what we had hoped for, but both will allow grouping of various notifications into a single email. We hope to have more to share on that later this summer. So a couple thoughts. obviously iRacing's not directly developing the forums. I mean, let's digest that. They've hired another company. It's their functionality, their background. It's called Vanilla. I think, is this good or bad? I mean, I think it might be good because it allows them to focus on the sim, and they're not taking their development talent and using it for something as mundane as the forums.
Well, if you think about it, Mike, their specialty's working on the sim. You know, when you're building a house, you don't use your electrician to build your back deck, right? So maybe it's good to have another source building in the background. It might be, you know, better off in the end once they get everything the way that they want to have someone else doing it and let them, like you're saying, focus on what they're good at.
So let me describe the error. But basically, I went into one of the very first new forum posts, and notifications were. And ever since then, I get an email literally when anybody comments on that thread. So I just on that thread alone, I maybe have gotten 200 to 300 emails. So it's broke. I mean, and it's you don't want to follow threads, especially big ones that go several pages long, because you'll get buried in email. So the other thing about this is, man, we got to wait. You know, I mean, they're talking Q4. That's a long ways away to get this fixed.
Last week, we had our charity race. It was a blast. We have a special thank you to all who helped make it a project. This is probably typed up by Tony, but so I'm going to do a little reading for you. We had 34 drivers show up, and it was a multi-class racing that was a blast. Bob Fellenbaum and Dwayne MacArthur won the cup. Is that how it turned out? Oh, polls. Okay. Polls. It's because it was down on the next line. Team Tifosi led the majority of the cup side, with Eric, S.A., and Dwayne hunting each other down on the Xfinity side. We saw some long green flag runs with Greg Hackfus took home the checkered for the cup, and Eric Essery nabbed the Xfinity prize. Eric also grabbed the Old Bastards Racing League and the Metro Ford Chicago Clean Driver Awards. Grabbing both of those awards on the cup side was me, and both David and Eric generously donated their winnings back to Project K9 along with poll winners. Thanks to everyone who participated and donated. We couldn't have done this without you, and feel free to check out obrl.net as well as emetroford.com. And I should have won this, but I had I lost over 10 seconds entering pit road because it was basically blocked.
You lost because of strategy. I won.
Dude,
I'm the winner. I'm the winner. Strategy beat you.
I lost.
Greg.
No,
Strategy beat me because if I had pitted one lap earlier, pit road wouldn't have been blocked.
And I'm doing this for Chris Scales because he likes to bug Steve, and maybe Steve will listen to this. I donated my spotlights that I won, because as the winner, the only thing I won was one thing. David took everything home in second place. He took all the other prizes, and
It was like $125.
so I donated the spotlights because I already had them to the OBRL League, and I guess they gave them away at one of their events on the weekend. So whoever won that, I couldn't remember what Chris said who won it, but I hope they enjoy it.
Yeah, I would have donated the lights as well. I thought about that right off the bat. If I win, I'm either going to give them my old ones or I'm just going to donate them.
I called my win. I called it, so I knew I was donating it.
You did call the win.
But I didn't think we should take the money once we won as the hosts.
Well, that was the coolest thing. I mean, I thought about the ending of the race was hearing afterwards that everybody involved donated everything back, basically. And any actual prizes were given back to OBRL, and they gave them away in their all-star race. So they were able to have prizes for their event. We were able to give as much money as we possibly could to Project K9. I forget how much Tony said we raised, but
$1,500.
it was significant.
I think it was 15 plus.
For a small group like us, it was significant for sure.
And I think like I said, I think I don't know if it was Dave. I think it was Chris I was talking to, but I didn't care what the prizes were or anything. I just want, we don't get to race all our teammates very often, and do it on an off week and go out and just have fun with the guys in a competitive track in a great style. Like the 2 cars idea was an awesome event, and that Xfinity car has way too much horsepower for the Cup car that has way too much downforce and can go through the corners, but the Xfinity car catches them on the straightaways. It's a nuts combo at Michigan, but it's so much fun.
It was, and we were able before the race to line up on the backstretch as a team. I think we had 10 or 12 of us. I don't know, but we got a couple pictures of everybody lined up in their canine paint jobs, and that is cool because we normally don't get to be on track all at the same time. So that alone is a bonding experience for Team Tifosi. Also, I want to point out that Tony Jennings won the best paint award when he honored the heroes of Washington, and so they checked out his paint.
Very cool paint, and everybody that had special paints out there. I had David. I know you did your own. I was running a Bobby Jonas Simwraps design, which looked really good out there, and Mike was as well. Bobby ran his own. I guess Tony, Josh did one for Josh from our team. Did one for Chris. I'm sure. Did Tony get one done from? I don't. Maybe he got maybe Brandon, but everybody was representing real nice there, and it was really good to see.
Yeah, and we're going to do this every year. Tony pledged he's definitely going to. This is our second year we've done it. We're going to do it next year for sure. So,
and I'll win that one too. Right, David? I'll win that one too.
You're calling it already?
Probably. I'll probably have some other stupid thing happen.
Firecracker 400. Landon Castle mentioned in a post last Friday that the entry list for Firecracker has surpassed the 300 mark, and there were still 3 days left to register at that time. I'm pretty sure it's full by now. But this is a big event. They put out a neat video as well. They called it Goosebumps, but just kind of a, get your blood boiling kind of thing, showing off the cars and the racing and the action, and what to expect for the Firecracker 400. And the video just gets you pumped. I'm just like, man, I want to go get in this car right now and run it.
Looks like we've got a video here of Junior winning one of the prelims as well. The final one, back on June 16th, which was yesterday.
Yeah, they had they have these races where they narrow down the field to the actual 40 or so that will compete. And yeah, Dale Jr. won one of those.
When is this event coming? Is it a couple weekends away still?
I don't know if it's next week or the week after. But I'll be watching for sure.
It's definitely a must-see. I enjoyed watching last year's, and the production value itself with just the way that they announce it and how they run it is top-notch. Yeah,
they always were showing the announcers on screen. Big old prize purse, and for this race, there's tons of cash involved, so pretty cool.
So, Road to Pro, I guess, is running an exhibition race at Knoxville on the 24th of June here. So that's what, this weekend? Or next week?
A week from tonight.
It's a week from tonight, okay. Tyler posted in the forums, they'll be doing an exhibition race at Knoxville. All the series parameters will be set exactly as a round 2, except they will be fixed setups for this exhibition race. It'll be an official series and count towards your IR and SR. The purpose of this is to completely test the functionality of the roster-based series to go off the stake split. So they're basically doing this to try and just test everything out, make sure they don't have any hiccups on the first week that they do it.
Exactly. Great idea.
Which is it's odd that they're doing it, but it's nice that to see that they're finally, doing things where, testing these things before it all of a sudden shows up and they have a problem, right? So look for that on the 24th to see how it goes for them.
It should be fun to watch. I want to see how the snake splits work out, though. Okay, next, help wanted if you want to work for iRacing. Greg West posted in the forums 2 new job openings. We got senior 3D car artist, assistant outsource manager, and an environmental artist. And there's job requirements and descriptions listed if you're interested.
And they're only suggesting senior for experience, not age, right?
Senior meaning you know what you're doing, I guess.
Which means they're getting bigger and they need to have they need to get some more people or more staff that can do what they need to accomplish. Or I don't know, maybe they've lost a designer too in the last while. Who knows?
It could be turnover, yeah, or it could be growth, but regardless, it's good. It's good to see.
Ever eat so much you feel like a blimp?
I like Blimpies.
Is that a gas station or like a fast food chain near y'all?
It's a sub sandwich you buy at a gas station,
I
actually.
was gonna say that's convenient. That's a convenient.
That'd be
name.
funny then if you could actually get a sub sandwich to float up above the stadium, right? Well, we have some new Blip Tools that are supposed to be a game changer. For those who love to do video editing within the sim or just watching cool replays, there's a new Blimp tool. He has no idea what the blimp radius is, but it looks amazing. The blimp circles around at a set distance, and you can change this distance. Before, you could only go down to 100, which was still very large. Now you can go down to 1, so you can fine-tune shots for those corners. Especially, you can now make decent attempts at boom crane shots or low drone shots without the camera going clear on the other side of the track to get back around.
That's actually really helpful for the video editing side and the screenshot side, because like they're saying that blimp is it's such a stationary gap. It's really hard to get good shots from it, and I was wondering if they were ever going to at some point do a drone type. I know you can create your own drone shot here, but when you're talking about the drone shot, with the way that they're utilizing it in all television stuff, that's one camera they haven't yet kind of made something that floats around the track like that.
Well, you say that, but look at the video in the forum post, Greg, that Nick Neben put up about this tool, and that's exactly how I would describe this shot. It is a drone shot. The camera is moving. Not maybe the first example, but the second or third definitely looks like a drone shot.
Well, and I guess what he's showing in the example here is that he's using the far. It technically can be done. It's in one spot, but you can use it for the whole track, which is nice. Like, instead of having multiple different cameras, you're just changing the way it floats around the track.
Yeah, he brings the altitude really low, obviously, and makes that distance of it spinning down to a small number, and that's how he's getting the effect.
Yeah, that video is really cool. That's you don't usually see shots like that unless it's I don't know. I don't remember seeing shots like this. It looks more like a movie production.
So just for our listeners, how do you do this? You hit Control F12, and you'll get a new menu pop up where you can make these adjustments. And then if you're clever, you'll use the keyboard letters W, A, S, and D to move cameras around in combination with Alt and Control.
Well, and the other thing, like I've made the suggestion before on the podcast here and to some other guys, if you guys have a spare Xbox controller or gaming controller, set your set some of your stuff up for your camera. If you want to do more some of those camera shots, set the buttons up on your controller and use the analog sticks to move around and set things up. That's the best way to create these shots. Is you're instead of using your mouse and trying to drag and do all these things with it, you can use it like you're driving around on your gaming pad, like you're driving a drone.
So Greg West has posted in the forums that they will now be having 8 cars available in certain series. That's going to be the European Sprint Series IMSA, GT Sprint, GT3 Fixed, and GT3 Endurance. Oh gosh, I'm going to slaughter this word. The Creventic Endurance Series will as well as the NERB Endurance Series will not change, as they're already in progress. I haven't looked at this. I'm going to actually go look at the cars available on the site, on the website right now.
It'd be interesting to see what car they've added in to accommodate it. Like obviously the GT3 series has gotten bigger because the car count, like different car manufacturers have gotten in there. But IMSA, what's the car that they would have added? And the European Sprint Series.
Well, in Euro, it looks like they've got more GTEs now. Including, they've got 5 GTE classes or cars now in Porsche in the Euro series.
So they have Porsche, Corvette, BMW.
They have all 5 of them.
All 5?
Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they did in IMSA as well.
All right, let's talk about a better car, the NASCAR 87. We have some thoughts about the update. Last week we talked about Dale Jr. and all the work he did on getting together this latest update. And so I found a few people that I want to read what they thought. Cody Dutton. Cody Dutton is the man in this car. I mean, nobody runs more laps in this car than Cody and his brother. But they were the guys to beat when I was running this car. Anyway, Cody says, Michigan shows massive tire wear in just a few laps. Charlotte looks balanced. Going to require a lot of testing and practicing to see how good or bad this update is. Dale described this era as searching for front turn. I feel that now. It's pretty tight. Feels like a big potato street stock that will never turn. And once you get it turned, you break the rear tires loose. Then we have James Allen. He posted, no more snap loose. Car is very fun to drive still, though. Actually requires braking, unlike the contemporary cars. I might actually enjoy Daytona this time around. You can tell there's more downforce, but not an egregious amount. Car is slower overall, gets tight off if you get on the gas too early, but lap times are close to the real-life values. I did look up pole speed on Racing Reference. Tire conservation is going to be extremely important. You have to crank the wheel 90 degrees to the left, like what's shown in the in-car videos from the time period. Big fan so far. I think people are going to like the changes a lot.
If you're doing 90 degrees in a cup car, you're destroying the tire. We have the sets set up to only go 45 degrees. Have you tried them yet since the update?
Yeah, but not enough to really get a good feel for it. I just did some testing, but the snap loose is gone, like they say. It did feel the floatiness of like the Cadillac, my grandma's Cadillac, seems to be gone too. It felt more like a modern car as far as that goes.
Just a little update on the previous topic. I did get it looked up. They now have 3 GT3s running. They've got that BMW, the Porsche, and the Lambo. We ready to move on? Let's go talk about crowds. They are not going to be turned off at more tracks now. Nick Neben has posted that Chicago is joining Southern National and Williams Grove as tracks that the crowds cannot be turned off.
So some kind of glitch. I don't know if when it was season 3 or patch 1, but if you try to turn off crowds, which I don't try to, so I would never have noticed, but apparently it doesn't work at certain tracks.
And Nick's not staff, so this is not a feature. It's got to be a glitch.
Yeah. I'll take this one. We got a post from staff member Francisco Scaramuza, and it's basically instructions on what to expect when joining and registering for a special event. And they've made some changes to the process, and that's the reason for the post, basically. So I'm going to kind of go through this now. Once the main registration period closes, the splits are being made prior to events beginning to launch. The scheduler is simply not going to allow any additional members to register until all sessions have finished launching. This will give the scheduler unimpeded time to do its thing. Those who try to register during this time period will not be allowed to register. They'll receive a new error message that says, "Please wait, registration is temporarily closed while the session launches." You'll be able to register once the session is fully started. For members that registered for the session before the main registration period closed, nothing has changed. They still receive that join button or the race button, or if they're in the practice session, just as they normally would. This message is only presented to members who attempt to register for the session after the main registration window is closed and before the session is launched.
Good.
So what they found is you'd have the initial starting driver, get in, and then everyone else would pile in, and that was what would delay everything. So now everyone else can't pile in. They have to wait until the sessions launch, and then they can join.
I guess it's just an easier way to slow their traffic down. It's to control the bottleneck.
Right. So what was happening is all these people were piling in, and every time someone would pile in, they would have to recalculate how the splits were split, and it would exponentially increase the time it took.
Well,
so that's why that one they had that huge delay on that one big event. That was the reason why. So this fixes that basically.
They weren't having to actually do any recalculating because the splits were being calculated based on how many drivers you registered, because you have to pre-register your drivers now and make sure they all get a fair share. So that's already set. But what was happening is one person would register the drivers and register for the race and go into the practice session, and everybody else would just chill, right? And then it would, let's say 9:01 would hit, and all the other drivers would be like, okay, I'm going to get in now. Boom, 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 boom. And that would just overwhelm the system with 8,000 people registering all at the same time while the system is trying to create the splits and launch the servers.
My question is this going to move the bottleneck to another spot where once you guys are in the session and doing stuff, and everybody tries to join then after, is it going to move that bottleneck? I know the sessions will have been created, but what's the impact of having now those, say the 900 extra people try and join in at the same time when they're allowed to? What's the bottleneck going to be there?
It's more like a triage, because instead of two things being done at the same time, one's done and then the other's done. So it's spreading the bottleneck out, making it longer.
I just hope it doesn't take. I just hope it doesn't take resources away from, say everybody's not allowed to join until you're about to start. Well, if you're out on the track and ready to start, and everybody starts joining in, what's it going to do to the server lag?
There's still that 30-minute practice session, but
True.
But what happened is that the system got so overwhelmed that it just flat out timed out and locked up. If it's a little bit laggy for 2 minutes, or something takes just a little longer, that's different than the system completely crashing.
You want me to take this one, or do you want to do this one, Mike?
Well, yeah, this is kind of a somber one.
Yeah, I'll let Mike do this one.
This one, so iRacer Gary Corbett. Now we've had him on the Aftermath just a few months ago, a couple months ago, 3 months ago. He started up a GoFundMe. Well, his family did for him. He's too proud to. But he's a wonderful, kind and talented friend, keyboardist, and iRacer Gary Corbett, and he needs help and support. He has some health issues. We've heard now that Gary has a very aggressive form of cancer, lung cancer, that has moved on to a brain and hip. The good news, it is treatable. And as you know, most musicians don't have health insurance, or when they do, it's not that great. But due to the cost of these treatment, Gary is on the verge of losing his home, and the medical bills are piling up alongside the other bills. He has completed a series of radiation therapy, is undergoing an aggressive series of chemo and immunotherapy, and is slated to start cognitive and occupational therapy soon. Gary and his wife Lenora are desperate. They cannot afford to pay for the treatments, and stopping is not an option. And they go on to tell a little bit about Gary's history. We all know it. He's a great guy. So there is a GoFundMe. We have the link on our script on our website at iRacersLounge.com. Go there and help out anything you can. $1 or more. Every bit will go to Gary's family to help with the medical cost. Now, I've heard from our friends over at the OBRL. Those guys have stepped up big time, and have donated very generously to their fellow league member. The most recent number, $2,500, has been raised by the OBRL league themselves towards Gary's GoFundMe.
The actual GoFundMe is at 122 donations for over $10,000.
That's great. When I saw this earlier in the week, we were at 6, and now we're at 10. I mean, 10,000 is not a lot. I mean, it sounds like a lot of money, guys, but when you have these kind of bills with a mortgage and medical, I mean, he's going to need more than that. So please, let's help him out. This guy's a great racer, and we need to help him out.
Was he actually on the Aftermath with the music career? This was him. Okay.
Yeah, it was him.
Yeah, this is the guy who worked with all the bands. He was in the band Kiss and others.
And he is also our thesaurus and dictionary creditor.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
So, yeah, he's helped us clean. He reminded us that we need to clean up on our pronunciations. Thank you for that, Gary.
Pronunciations.
Did I say that in earnest or...
That's not how you say it.
We're gonna go with Mike did that intentionally.
No one will ever know. Get well, Gary. We'll be pulling for you, buddy.
All right, so world records. Obviously, always good to try and beat them, but
Greg is supposed to be talking about this article, and I see his lips moving.
Sorry, I was hitting the wrong button. It would help if I would hit the right button. There, you got me now. World records here being set in iRacing. I guess the Overtake website here, overtake.gg, did an article here on the 5 sim racing world records that probably are never going to be beaten. And I kind of looked through these here, and I was like, you're probably right with how it's going. So the 5 that they've listed here is they got Martin Kroenke winning every race in a season. So that would have been in the VR or the World Series F1 car. That was that was a couple years ago in 2017. Gregor Hutu has 50 wins and has 5 world championships and or 5-time world champion in iRacing. Kawanda,
5 championships in 6 years.
Yeah, Kawanda wins the 24 Hours of Daytona 6 different times.
Now, I'm going to interrupt you, Greg, because the next 2 aren't even iRacing, so I'm like, eh.
Well, I'm going to say this anyways. Like the lap record at Vietnam in F1 2020 I don't know if you've ever watched these lap records with that sim. They're kind of like unbelievable lap records where the car has way too much grip for what physically is possible to do some of the things it's doing. And then I don't even know what a Dream Trackmania record. I don't even know what Trackmania is, to be honest, as a gamer.
Exactly.
But it's good to see that three of them, and three of them are huge accomplishments. Obviously, Coanda winning the 24 Hours of Daytona 6 times. Coanda's pretty untouchable in a lot of road racing stuff anyways. They always have a great lineup. Gregor Hutu is... I don't know how much you watched the World Championship back when he was running it in the F1 car, but he was dominant in that F1 car. Like, just dominant. So
when they switched to Porsche, I mean, that just... It killed what he had going.
Yeah, and I mean, he's still relevant, but he just hasn't had the same success as the car that he dominated those in. And I kind of miss the F1 car the way they used to when they used to run that car, because it was awesome. There was some pretty good racing with that car.
Well, we'll see if that Dallara Jet Car Championship will replace it. Maybe. Okay, let's talk podcast housekeeping notes. Don't forget about the Aftermath podcast. You need to go subscribe to that. I think they're recording this Saturday. I don't know what. And we are associated with Midwest Simulations. Is that the name of it? Yeah.
Yes.
And they have their spotlights, and you can get 10% off if you use this coupon code iRacers Lounge.
Yeah, and they were the ones that donated the spotter lights for the race for us, our charity race. So big shout out to them for actually jumping in and donating them so that we could, when we won, we could donate them somewhere else.
Yeah, and we do appreciate Scott over there at Midwest for helping us out with that. We are in regular rotation over at the Performance Motorsports Network.
Let's kick off some hardware. We have the Thrustmaster official Formula Wheel add-on, and they've got a little tweet with a recommended key mapping, and that's a pretty extensive button. I like that it's got the knobs further down to the bottom and more buttons that are more in reach of the thumb.
And this wheel is got native integration with iRacing.
So that means they've worked pretty close with them to try and make sure that this works. It covers everything that they would need in the sim to race, and it's at your fingertips with the way that they have this design. I was looking through the button mapping here, and it's really such a nice wheel to have on the Thrustmaster side there.
Now, I don't know if it's just me, but I don't feel like Thrustmaster is popular in iRacing. It doesn't seem like a lot of people use it, and I don't know if that's just my impression, but I think, as a company, when they go and do something like this and they put out this kind of wheel, like you and like both of you said, it's got some really nice details, and that integration with iRacing, that's native. They're trying. I mean, they're trying to get some of the market.
I'd like to know what the native really means, other than maybe all of those mappings can be automatically imported.
Well,
Meaning you don't have to do software or anything; everything just works.
And the other thing, David, is the that dash, because it's native. It, like Mike's saying, it works right off the bat. There is nothing on the outside of the sim that dash should work without any other single
It's
app.
pulling from the API or
Yeah.
something, right?
So, I think, Mike, on what you're thinking, or with the thing with Thrustmaster is if you look at Logitech and Thrustmaster, they're kind of the two lower end entry levels, but Thrustmaster's a little bit above with depending on what you're looking at. But that pushes it into the Fanatec area, and it seems like Fanatec's taken over that mid-range market, and now with their direct drives and Thrustmaster is kind of in the middle there without a direct drive platform, right? So there is no they've got this. I think this. I don't remember what the cost of this rim was, but I don't think it was cheap. It's a good add-on rim, but for what it cost, I think what it's done is it shoved it into the Fanatec field without the options of what Fanatec has, and I think that's what's kind of why you're saying if somebody's going to buy something, is it a Thrustmaster or are they just going to go straight to Fanatec? Because I think Fanatec is what a lot of people suggest, right?
What a transition to the next topic. I mean, so scroll down one and look at a new Thrustmaster tease they put out. They also teased a 400 watt peak power T turbo with more to come on June 23rd. So it's just a tweet and it doesn't show anything besides the word T turbo. And it says 400 watts peak power out of the box. Is this their direct drive?
I don't know. Just can either of y'all quickly math how much torque you get out of that?
Yeah.
Or how much torque the CSL takes? Or how many watts the current CSL DD takes? I'll Google that real quick while y'all chatter.
Yeah, I'm not sure what this is going to be. It seems like, if not, Mike, do you think it's like, is it another unit that boosts it up towards like Fanatec's 2.5 type base? Maybe it's like a higher end base for them, not. But it sounds like if they're trying to push this out, does it go into the direct drive? Does it push itself into the direct drive category?
Well, that's the thing. And, when you look at the replies to the tweet, there's a lot of people speculating here. But one guy, Maximus, he says, jumping ship to where? Fanatec launched nothing yet, and Thrustmaster always does a good job. And so there's a lot of people here that are weighing in about it and trying to guess what it might be. But Sir Lopez RM, he said, with this power, it won't be a mid-range wheelbase. So he's trying to guess there. I don't know.
Do you think?
As long as they don't go away from their lower end bases as well, because some people do need to be able to have that entry level wheel to jump into sim racing.
Are we getting to a point in sim racing where the entry level has moved itself further up? No?
Are you taking keyboard lessons from Anthony, Greg?
Why?
You're talking, but we're not hearing you.
I don't know.
So whatever your last reply was about the cheaper wheel, I don't think we heard it.
You got me now?
Yeah, we got you.
What I was just saying is I was just thinking, is the lower end market starting to move its way up where it's not the cheap as we think it is anymore? Is now, what I'm driving right now is probably considered the low end market and a CSL base from Fanatec, and it is a lower end one, but it's still higher end than Thrustmasters and Logitech's wheels.
Maybe, but we're talking about your kid that's driving NASCAR Heat on a PS blah, right? I don't think they're going to buy a CSL.
I think there'll always be that low end market. You got to have an entry level point, or an entry level point, and Logitech and Thrustmaster have been filling that pretty well.
So Huskenvelt tweeted out that they want to say, "Dear customer and dear sim racing fan, we are happy to let you know that our Sim Pedal Ultimates are now on sale. Do you want to know more? Check out further information." So if you go to their or the tweet, actually the Huskenvelt page there, trying to get into it here.
While you're looking, I have to make a nerd deja vu plug. When you said, "Do you want to know more?" I had a flashback to Starship Troopers.
I'm looking them up. But basically, the Sim Pedals Ultimate I got on Housekeeping.com. There's quite a range in price. I think there's different options here.
Yeah, we just have the tweet. I don't have the website on my end.
Yeah, so it's cut down from the 3-pedal set is normally 1,098 euros down to 866 euros.
That's cheap.
Yeah, that's not bad. For the best pedals they have.
I'm pretty sure those will be all sold out real quick.
Okay, I got the next one, an MPI shout out. Max Pappas Industries posted on their Facebook a special shout out to the Bearded Breezy Racing, who bought something we're not even technically selling yet. This Twitch streamer bought the very demo unit off the showroom floor and became the first unofficial owner of the new Max Pappas Innovations Sim Max racing rig. And so we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. We saw it on the website, said coming soon, and now we see it in the wild. Just love the colors. I love the orange and black. Those were my high school colors, so maybe that's why I like it.
I wonder how he was able to, be the first one to get it. Like, I know you said he bought it, but were they just allowing him to buy it at that time, or did he convince somebody?
He bought Max a beer, maybe,
Moving on to shifters, I'm pretty sure we covered this one when we had our shifter exposition. Darren Gange has posted that on the forums that the V&M shifter and accessories are now for sale for immediate shipment at sim-motion.com. They have them for both US and the EU shops. And he mentioned that it has been promoted on Sim Racing Garage. I may have said that already. Got a forum post and also a link to their website.
Sold out,
yeah. So when we talked about these before, I think you had to get them directly from Vietnam. And so this is a U.S. Canadian distributor, but apparently he's out of stock. $259.95 for this one.
It's not a bad price.
That's exactly what I paid for my shifter, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Factories are really having trouble keeping up. Internationally, there's still a lot of shutdowns. Isn't Canada?
Whoa, easy. There is a place called Canada in Canada. It's in Ottawa.
Is it spelled the same but pronounced differently?
No, it's spelled with a K.
Oh, okay.
And it's a Canada.
Canada. I can't pronounce Canada today. Y'all still have quite a bit of lockdown as well, I believe.
Yeah, we have our own issues here where they don't let us do much. We'll go with that.
Well, I guess this is as good a spot as any to talk about my new shifter I ordered. So Monday night, Greg, you pointed out that it was a third league race in a row I've had problems with my shifter crapping out during the race. 4? Yeah.
I've been around for 4, and you've failed every one of them with the shift problem.
I know. And so basically, the wheel still works, but my paddle shifter stopped working during the race, and the only way to fix it is reboot the wheel. So I keep losing track position having to do that, and it sucks. And so Monday night was the final straw. And so I just broke down and bought one. And I was really debating what to do. I'm like, do I buy a new wheel? Do I buy a new Fanatec rim and then bust this one off and go that route? Or do I get a separate shifter and just keep the wheel I got? And so that's what I did, is I got a separate shifter, keep the wheel I got. I got a sequential shifter from Analog from Russia. And that was the first unique thing about it, was I had to pay PayPal basically to a website in Russia. And first time I've done that. And you always kind of wonder in the back of your mind, am I getting ripped off? Are they even going to ship anything? And, but you know, there's people out there that have them, and I've seen them before, and we've talked about it. So that's the one I ordered, and I actually got shipping from DHL today, and it will be here next week.
Okay, I was gonna just ask you that question. Did you get a reference when it was gonna come?
I shipped today, so I think it's like 7 days from now.
And PayPal does have an insurance option for scams.
Yeah, you can dispute it too.
Well, I did get an email from PayPal afterwards that looked like a PayPal email, you know, the colors and the logos, but every word on the email was in Russian, every word.
So were you looking through the Russian dictionary, or are you using Google to translate?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I had to pay them in rubles, and it was like 18,000 rubles, which was like $260.
Before we go to the next topic here too. The reason I yelled at Mike this week to get something figured out with his thing from the league races, he noticed the shift problem. He was stuck under caution on a restart in front of me in an all-star race with half the race to go, and we were trying to make sure we didn't run him over.
Yeah, I mean, when it's caution and you didn't pit and you don't know that your shifter stopped working and you're coming to the green, so you drop it down to second, and guess what? It wouldn't drop to second. My microphone doesn't work in the room because that's on the wheel rim too. And so I'm telling my teammates in TeamSpeak, hey, I'm stuck in fourth gear, you know, it's going to be bad. And so they start yelling at everybody in the room, watch out for Ellis, you know.
So, David, I know you've had problems with pedals. I don't think someone who's not going to have problems with his pedals maybe here. Ray Alfala tweeted that he is getting his VRS Direct Force Pro pedals installed. So he's just got a picture here, him sitting on the floor with a steering wheel, and he's got his pedals in front of him, and I guess he's just visually going over how he's going to race with it.
He'll probably be okay as long as the guy that's doing the truck fix setups is not testing his pedals. They look nice, though.
It looks like a decent setup. Obviously, he just took him out of the package, and he's probably waiting to put it inside his rig. I don't know what Ray runs on rig wise, but it'd be nice to see what they looks like installed in his setup with his full racing setup.
Have these been released?
Good question.
Or are they, because I can't really tell from this picture, are they still just load cell, just with some heavy springing?
Yeah, I think they're load cell, yeah. So let's go there, David. I mean, do you wish you were Ray and you would have bought the VRS Direct Force Pro pedals, or are you happy with your purchase, the Sim coaches?
I'm happy with my purchase. For one, they were available, you know, when almost everywhere is sold out. Yes, we ended up running Le Mans, and it was running great. I had a really great first stint in the car. When I come back later that afternoon, I keep making mistakes on braking and getting frustrated, thinking, what is going on? The running theory was I just suck at night, which is not the case. I run night races there all the time and don't make those kind of mistakes. But the third time I came back, I sat down getting ready to take over, and I realized that my brake is suddenly really squishy. It's a hydraulic pedal, but it had way more play than it used to have. And even though I could still get it to full 100% and 0% usage, the range of motion was further away from me and smaller. And that's why when I was trying to do my trail braking and lifting, I kept lifting too much and going too hard into corners. And it ultimately ended up costing us the race. But in the middle of that race, I posted something on Sim Coach's website, and had immediate replies with a link to a video. And if I had actually paid more attention to the video than Greg and Dave, who gave me different instructions on how to fix it, I would have got it bled properly and been able to not have the problem. I did finally figure out how to bleed it properly the next day. Lawrence has been in direct contact with me on Facebook, helping me fix everything with it. We got it working. About 2 days later, I sat down and noticed it was squeegee again. I bled him, got it working right again, and I messaged Lawrence and he said, okay, let's go ahead and warranty those pedals. So air's getting into it somehow. But I mean, you talk about 100% the best customer service I've had in sim racing ever from those guys. It has been great. And when their pedals are working 100%, it feels like real pedals. It feels like you're actually in a car, and it's the trail braking and just the way it feels. I don't know how else to describe it. I actually wear shoes now instead of racing barefoot because they're so stiff, and they're really nice. I sent an email to Fanatec about the circuit board that's broken, asking for a replacement 2 weeks ago. Hadn't heard a word.
So is it a new
That's typical.
set they're sending, or they repair?
No, there's already one on the shipping. I've got the tracking for it, and it's got a return label to send this one back.
They'll just fix what David's got and probably send it out to somebody else again, put some new parts on it.
Another thing Fanatec doesn't do, if your stuff breaks, they're like, well, send it back and sit without your wheel for 6 weeks or whatever.
Now, we're still on the VRS topic here. I looked on their website, Mike. It's showing a price for the stuff, but it doesn't say if it's actually released yet. So I haven't found any information seeing if they're out in the marketplace yet. They're $649 US just for the brake and gas. So
All right.
what Ray has in front of them right there is about $900 worth of pedals. Because the clutch is separate. It's $249 for the clutch.
There is a link to like a reserve yours today, like a pre-order.
Oh, so it's okay.
Still no dates. I don't see any dates.
So they've just sent it to all their sponsor streamers, drivers type things.
Right. Get the word out.
Our next topic we kind of already covered because we talked about it in the show notes, but you've got more details, including an actual screenshot of the LFE base shaker settings. Posted by
impact,
Tucker.
engine, gear, rev limiter, rumble strip, wheel slip.
They may have just spent some more of my money. Now that this is built into the sim, I might actually try to get a shaker instead of a different seat.
Oh, look how easy that was to spend your money.
Zing.
You know what? You probably should get it too, David. Just get two.
2 base shakers?
Yeah, we might as well.
Front, rear.
Yeah. It's your money. Like, what do we care? It's your money.
Okay. I got this one. So this is I want to bring this back up. Tried and True Rigs is what I called this one. But it's Carolina SimWorks. And I think, we've talked about them a long time ago, and it's been a long time, but I think I forget and everyone forgets what quality rigs this guy has. I mean, man, these look nice. And so the Twitter he put out today shows some of the new colors that he's sporting. He's got an 80/20 style rig that's black, but all the horizontal pieces are a really bright yellow, like a neon yellow. And then there's a really nice blue as well, and an orange and so forth. What do you guys think?
It almost looks like a sprint car at a glance.
Well, he does have that unique pedal mount where you can mount it vertically, or hanging, or inverted, or flush, based on the floor mounted.
the options for the colors. Like, not many of these companies offer. Like, when you buy an 80/20 rig, you're basically just an 80/20 rig. It's the silver or the black option, and that's all you get. You don't really have it. But to have these little accent pieces and the brackets for the arms and things like that to be different colors is such a unique option if you want to, have a theme going in your sim room.
And that cross mount for the actual direct drive is the heaviest duty cross mount I've seen in any rig we've covered.
It's really thick, yeah. And I really, like you said, that if you get a theme on the colors, like this one that's orange, to go with that orange MPIC and an orange stripe on the wheel, I mean, boy, it just pop.
You'd probably get your ugly neon colors, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, for sure. And then
you would get it neon, yes. That's why.
Triple monitor mount. So the triple monitor mount is part of the rig. Is that a good idea? Yes or no? I kind of think a separate triple monitor mount that's standalone.
If you're going to go motion, if you plan on ever upgrading to motion, you don't want your monitors not moving when your body's bouncing.
Yeah.
I think as an all-in-one unit, I don't see it being a huge issue, especially when it's a stable unit like that. Obviously, this is tried and true. These are the same units that like Junior and them run, is it not? The same company?
Yes.
Yes.
They made his rigs.
Yeah. So it's basically half the NASCAR guys that ran the Pro Series were having these rigs sent to them.
Right. Yeah, Kyle Larson has this rig, and Clint Boyer and all those guys.
Well, we've covered topics. We've covered hardware. Are we ready to talk some results?
NASCAR.
So we were off last week with week 13. Didn't have a whole lot going on. We did. So we started the official racing Wednesday night with Nashville. I started off with position load the damn race set. Load the damn race set. And I should have typed that about 50 more times.
Stand in front of the chalkboard and write it out 50 times.
Bart Simpson.
So, David, you spent your time running at the back of the pack, dreaming up ideas of how to resolve this problem. Like, can't we have an app or a system that checks for the letter Q in your race set and let you know?
Yeah, JRT will actually scream an alarm at you if you don't have full fuel when you load a setup, but you can't do that with a stock car, right? It always has to be full fuel. So if I forget to load it in a stock or a sports car race, it'll scream at you if you don't load the set, and you can still go change it. So yeah, it was frustrating. I was basically stuck in the Q set, which is a good Q set, but it's terrible for race. And first of all, I had to pit and went 2 laps down, fixing. Taking the tape off, and it was a real clean race. So I was just limping around with a set. At one of the stops, which is a full green flag stop, I had 18% on the right front, and I don't ever run my tires down that low. It was 70 on the right rear, 18 on the right front.
Man. So Kyle Pendergraft, he wrecked out early. I wrecked out. I used my keyboard to shift after what happened on Monday's league race, and so I had 2 buttons set up for that, and no issues with that, really. It kind of worked. And then I was going to pit the first caution for gas, and so I unchecked the tires, but then I decided not to. And then we went many, many laps, and then I had to do a green flag stop, and guess what? I stopped and it gave me fuel only, and I'm like, oh no, and I went and check marked the tires, and then it waits 10 seconds, and then it gives me tires, and then it takes another 15 seconds, and yeah, all under green flag. And so I fell back to 34th. Eventually, I finally caught a caution. I think it was as I was approaching the next green flag stop, I got a caution finally, and ended up somehow restarting 11th after that, got up to 3rd, but cycled back to 11th before getting killed in a big wreck where teammate Stephen Llewellyn, who was in my split, he actually got loose on a restart on the bottom, I think in turn 3, and it took several people out, including me. It was a bummer. I just couldn't miss it. It was in front of me. I was able to keep going, but it did blow up a little bit later. After another wreck, I got turned in and couldn't miss.
Then we moved on. Today, I was the only one that got to run in the afternoon race. Tony was going to come run with me, but he got home and somebody stole the cable off of his pole to his internet. I guess for the copper. Yeah. That's I hope he catches who it was.
Well, how long is that going to take to get fixed? Wow.
He said the cable guy can't come out till tomorrow. So they'll just have to run a new cable. But I did get to run, and I loaded the damn race set. So it was much nicer. Didn't qualify great. I think I qualified 10th or so. It was top split, but it was kind of a low strength of field top split, only like 3,500. Got sideswiped on lap 20. Sideswiped on lap 20 by a guy with fresher tires.
Canada.
I was just letting him by on the front stretch, and he just came out and slapped me into the wall. It was 50 seconds of optional. I was able to get it fixed. I let the whole field go by because I drove through the grass at the front stretch, bounced off the wall. But I was passing a few people. We finally got a caution. I fixed 50 seconds worth of damage, and then we had some long runs, and I made my way back up into the top 15. Some late cautions. I was able to steal a few more spots. And I'm going to post a video of it later at some point. On our first green and white checkered, we had an instant caution. It was the worst case of net code I've ever seen. We had a net code before we even went green. And it was a lap car that just decided to pull up beside a guy a little bit, and he's like almost a car width away from him and pulling up beside him, and then suddenly the victim's car just slams to the right. We all thought he'd spun his tires, but you could see that it was an impact and a net code, especially because of the way it timed. Pretty crazy. Ended up 11th, and might have had a top 10 car if I hadn't have gotten put in the wall, but I'm glad I pulled off the P11 because I'm not going to get to race the rest of the week.
And we had Tony Rochette Wednesday Open P5. He said, horrible qual, started in the 20s, but made my way up to top 5 within a run. The track is fun, even led some green flag laps. Probably would have had a top 3, if not a win, if I had gotten fresh tires on the last caution. 3 of the top 5 of us hung in there with the freshies.
That moves us on to, go ahead.
Tony's killing it with the top 5s, guys.
Tony has I got the guy to cut his copper wire for his internet a couple weeks too early. I was trying to get him to do it on the road course week so he doesn't make us look so bad and myself look so bad with the finishes at the road course.
Yeah, and then he goes to the oval and beats us.
Good job, Tony.
What does he do? Beats us all.
No, don't give him any more ammunition for his sound whatever.
Moving on to the league racing, on Monday we had the All-Star race in the Fast Track Sim Rig. It was a neat format. They had some glitches at the end and some angry drivers. I got wrecked by dive bombing twice. And it's interesting because the package sucks. It's almost really more of a factor of the package. But I've always had the attitude that once you're in the corner and have started your turn, at that point, if they dive in after that, it's not their corner. You know, if you get beside me on the front stretch, I'm going to let you go. If you get me beside me at the end of the front stretch, but if I'm literally already in the corner and my spotter is saying clear, I'm going to turn the car down, right? And that's how I got turned, especially in the first wreck. He hit the very back corner of my car, you know. So if people don't agree with that, then I'm just going to have to start blocking really aggressively when people have runs but haven't actually gotten to me.
So this was the next gen car.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. So Dave, so we knew.
And this is my really first, real race with it, so to speak.
Same.
And my first impressions is I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. I don't like it. It doesn't have enough power.
I think the biggest problem is you can't get away from anybody. There's no relaxing time. There's no any momentum. Like, this kind of reminded me of the All-Star race that we were watching at Texas. Like, in general, when you couldn't complete a pass and you lost the momentum, you were losing positions. It just didn't work. The car's not good in that configuration on ovals. It's not enjoyable. I hope we don't have to race a full season next year with it that way. I hope some things change. Like, I had fun, but I don't want to do that for a full 36 or, well, it's going to be like 26 of them are going to be tracks like that, or 20 of the tracks will be like that next year. But it's like David said, you're clear in the corner, but because of the momentum and trying to get through the corner, there's still cars coming. There's always a car that's trying to get past you and's got a run, and you should be able to dive into the corner and go around it and not have to be always on the defense. There is no the offense is so hard to come by. You're playing defense all the time.
And it just doesn't work like the restrictor plate tracks work, where you actually can kind of make passes as you set it up right at the restrictor plate tracks. But here, it ends up, like you said, you can't get away. It's just this crazy jacked up, messed up slingshotting pack racing that's no fun. Nashville's been a blast. It's actually in the short track package, even though it's a 1.3 track, and it feels like 2 years ago before they brought in, or 2 or 3 years ago, whenever it was, when they actually brought in, before they brought in this high downforce crap. And I think it's making real racing bad, and I think it's making iRacing bad.
Now, Mike, I don't know if you, and David, I don't know if you feel the same way I did. I finished fourth in that race. I was hunting for a win there at the end. I just didn't get the run that I needed at the end, but I thought Jeff was a little hard on himself about the actual league and trying to get things going. He tried the format. It was a little wonky with some of the iRacing. I think a lot of it had to do with the iRacing. Something coding wise screwed up where it went to single file restarts at the end, and a bunch of things just didn't work. But I don't blame Jeff and the league stuff for any of that. Like, Jeff did a great job adminning it and making sure the guys, were able to enjoy the race. I enjoyed it. I don't believe there was anything that, there's some things that could have been done better, but it was an all-star race. Thank God it wasn't a normal race. We were just there to have fun.
Yeah, I mean, there was nobody to cut when we got to the cut because that amount of people had wrecked out or whatever. So it would have been a little bit better with more people. Let's talk about some of the problems, like you said. Double file, single file, and then timing and scoring totally jacked during any caution when cautions don't count.
Well, you're more accustomed to that if you do dirt racing, because that's what happens in a dirt race. I got wrecked out early, and I thought, oh great, pretty much my race is over. I was pretty frustrated, and it showed me I got the field past me 2 or 3 times because I had to tow for 2.5 minutes, but the caution lasted that long, and when I came back out and we went green, I was on the lead lap. That's just the way it does in dirt racing when caution laps don't count. So it gets all jacked up. You can't really tell if you're actually a lead lap car or not until you get going. It's
such an odd thing. Like, obviously, like you're saying, David, we're not trained we don't run the dirt. I had no idea that was even happened. I can't remember the last time I've raced a race that there was. I mean, I did that telecast or broadcast with the two Tonys and Chris one night, and I think that didn't have caution laps counting, or their first one didn't have caution laps. I remember watching it for the ladies of iRacing. I didn't realize that it worked that way with the cautions, but it makes sense now, like what you're saying, David. It doesn't score until it gets another lap.
Yeah, we had the experience with that last year when the majors was at Knoxville, but I didn't remember until it fixed itself after that restart, and then I was like, oh yeah.
And then one point, Jeff tried to speed up the caution. So there was a new feature released where he could hit a command that would make it one less caution lap. And so we're in 3 and 4, and I think it's 2 to green. And I'm thinking, okay, so he's thinking I'm going to push the button, and it'll now be 1 to green. Well, instead of being at 2 to green, we're going to be at 1 to green. So he pushed the button, and whatever happened. And all of a sudden, boom, we were green. We went from like 2 to green, and like within 5 seconds after he pushed the button, green flag, and it kind of caught everybody off guard.
Yeah, we had to get lined. We weren't single file. We had to get lined up, and it split the packs up really quick. So for that whole run, those 7 or 8 guys in the front got away, and until that segment ended, it was pretty split up.
I just think when he did it, he didn't realize where we were on the track, and you never give anybody a new shiny new toy like that. It's just too much power to do something like that.
But hey, NASCAR tries new things that might screw up in the real All-Star race. So it functioned like it was supposed to function. It's like, hey, let's try some crazy stuff and see if it goes bad or not.
And then the thing is, like I'm saying, Jeff Marble's doing a hell of a job with this league. I normally don't league race, and I've jumped in here and enjoyed it. It would be nicer if we get some bigger fields here. So anybody that's thinking of really wanting to join a league on a Monday night that runs the Cup Series race a week behind. So basically, we do the NIS schedule the week before, and then the Monday night you're running whatever the NIS was the week you're on. So you basically get a full week of running an NIS with your setup, and then you can bring it out to the Monday night race and race it there. But yeah, the Fast Track Sim Racing League is definitely a great league to run in on Monday night.
We had Josh join us as well. I forgot what happened to him.
I think he was in one of the wrecks in the middle segment because he got eliminated in the middle segment.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, I went by him a couple times, and he was near the back, and I don't think he made the cut.
So we already talked mostly about the Majors 24. We wrecked because of technical difficulties, but beforehand we were doing really well. Dave had us up towards the front, and we were staying there until we started having the major problems.
Dave and Greg.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Before we go any more on that, Mike, I want to. I'm not a huge fan of Le Mans. Like that car, I'm just not great with the LMP1, and I like Le Mans, but I can never with that car with their energy recovery and trying to get down the straights and stuff. I was never getting it right. But for some reason, something clicked with running with the two Davids here, and man, did I have speed this week or this time for this 24-hour race. I basically. When David had his problems earlier on in the night, we lost the lead, and we had gotten, I think we were 45 seconds behind, and by the time I gave the car back to David again for his next stint, we were 5 seconds up, or they were right even with the second place team, and it was a good setup for the long distance run. I know I was kind of trying to get used to. What's the other guy's last name again?
Burgess.
Trying to get used to his lingo with the endo. It's the first time I think I've ever heard someone refer to as an endo. That's just new to me. I know it's an endurance race, but I like the way he talks about some of the stuff. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. We just need a fourth person to do it with us. We cannot do it with 3. And broken pedals.
Yeah, and that car does have a little bit of a learning curve. You need a few experiences of running it in. You don't want to jump in and the 24-hour be the first time you ever run it.
And David at night
with broken pedals. Moving on to OBRL, the Aftermath Truck Series, sponsored by iRacers Lounge Podcast. Congratulations to Josh Robinson, the number 23, for winning the Aftermath Podcast Truck Series race at Nashville Superspeedway.
I want to hold on. I want to say that he's the guy that got my spotlights. I think it was the truck one that they gave it away in. I could be wrong though.
Tom Ogle, the number 11 car, brought it home in second with Dwayne MacArthur. I remember seeing him in the charity race. The number 88 finishing third in the Gary Corbet tribute paint job, with Gary's number 88 on the truck.
Yeah, pretty neat paint. He's got Kiss, the band Kiss, on the hood, and really cool to see Dwayne paying tribute to Gary. Hang in there, Gary. We're all pulling for you.
Well, that wraps up our results. I'll jump in, I guess, with my first final thoughts. Of course, I'm loving these pedals. Had a blast with that charity race. I was definitely dejected in the moment because when you have one kind of slip out of your hands, it's a tough feeling. But overall, Tony put together a great event, really well organized. I need to go back and watch the broadcast. So, yeah, it was a fun week. I'm heading to Nashville in the morning. It's actually a quick trip for me, only 4 hours compared to anywhere else I have to go to watch a race. So I'm excited for that. Going to see all 3 races and also visit some friends that live over there now.
Sunscreen and water.
Lots of water. I need to actually double check and see if they're not going to pull the same crap Texas did with not letting you take coolers in when it's the hottest day on record, right?
Greg Hectus, final thoughts.
I guess one thing that I was pretty jacked up about the last 3 races that we've run. Friday night, David wants to think I stole a race from him, but I did steal it from him with better strategy. Running as strong as and leading as many laps as we did in the 24 hours. I think what did we have? Only 7 or 8 hours left when we wrecked out. And then competing for the win on Monday night in the All-Star race for the fast track. It felt good to be really, really strong consistently over this weekend over 3 different cars, which I'll take, and we'll move on to this week at Nashville. David, I guess if you're gone, you're not racing anymore at Nashville this week. I'll be racing Friday night, I guess.
Yep. Oh no, I'm leaving in the morning. I'm done with Nashville.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
I'm gonna run one more Amola here right after the show, and then do my editing, and then boom.
I'll run tomorrow night. Try to get me a finish. Well done, Greg. Nice to see you being competitive. My final thoughts: this equipment woes. I mean, to spend $1,400 with Fanatec on this wheel, $400 for the wheel and $1,000 for the base, and to have so many issues with it, and now I had to spend another $250 on a shifter that I probably didn't even want or need, but I'm doing it kind of as a workaround because I can't race with it like it is. So I got the shifter coming. I'm happy about that. I also want to point out that I did order the cell phone holder that sits atop the Fanatec Podium wheelbase. I got it yesterday in the mail from Etsy. It's where I ordered it, and I love it. My Samsung Galaxy A51 5G fits in it perfectly with the case off. I had to take the case off, but it fits in there perfectly. It's nice and snug. My triple monitors are a little too close, and it only fits on about halfway, but it's solid, so I'm not going to move it. But I probably need to move my triple monitors back about a ½ inch to accommodate. But really liking it. It's a good view above the wheel. Before I was looking kind of below the wheel to see the screen, and I like it. So I've had a couple good hardware upgrades. One is here, one is coming, so I'm excited. And with that, we'll see you on the track later. Right. Title.